Hi everyone, this is Charlene, your training facilitator. As you'll see throughout our 6 weeks together, I'm going to pull out a few of the concepts covered in the self-guided section of the training and just unpack them a bit. This week, I want to talk about a phrase we use a lot at the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, and that phrase is name it to tame it. Name it to tame it has a lot to do with labeling. As a skill of emotional intelligence, labeling is about having a nuanced vocabulary to describe the range of our emotions. We say you've got to name it to tame it to signify that we are better able to regulate our emotions when we can find a word that accurately fits the emotion we are experiencing. As we'll see coming up, giving the feeling a clear name has really important implications for what we do next with that feeling. So let's imagine that a teacher is handing back tests to a classroom of students. After seeing their grade, one of the students gets up, storms out of the room, and knocks over a few desks in the process. Think about that student for a second. What do you think that student is feeling? You might think they're angry or frustrated based on this behavior. But the thing is, something else we say at the center is, emotions do not equal behavior. So even though that behavior of storming out and knocking over furniture might appear as anger or frustration, it's really good to explore the cause behind the behavior and to really understand if it's anger or frustration or maybe something else. So let's think about a few different contexts that might have led up to this behavior. Imagine a student who had already taken this test and failed it, but they stayed after school every day for 2 weeks, and they really thought they were going to do better this time. So if we think back to the understanding skill of ruler, we need to consider the contextual theme around the feeling and choose a feeling word that aligns with that theme. So in this case, the student might be feeling disappointment, which stems from a sense of unmet expectations. They really thought they were going to do better this time, but the grade just didn't show that. Or maybe this student even feels hopeless because they didn't do well the first time, and then they tried really hard to improve their grade, and they still didn't do well. So going back to our friend who has just stormed out of the classroom and thinking about the phrase, name it to tame it, imagine yourself as a teacher in that classroom observing this behavior. Instead of assuming that the student is angry, you might respond to them very differently if you know they feel disappointed or hopeless. Now imagine yourself in the shoes of that student. If you say to yourself, I'm feeling so angry right now, you might handle your emotions in a very different way than if you had settled on disappointment or hopeless as a label. So it's about being able to better regulate emotions for yourself and helping others regulate their emotions too.